Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, this is Kenya Revolutionary. This is an evening version session 4 in this channel. We never go live more than twice, only on occasions. But today I will drop another live just for now, because earlier I was talking, it was more about Miguna versus Babo Wino. But right now I just wanted to touch a little bit of this faker, this charlatan, this lady who has conned a lot of Kenyans into thinking that she is the Margaret Thatcher of Kenya, the fake iron lady of Kenya, the con woman, one of the Azimio principals or clowns, Martha Karua. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Now, a lot of you might be wondering, why am I doing a piece on Martha Karua? I think because there's a certain people within Azimio, mostly people from her tribe, who are really pushing this fake iron lady, this con woman, trying to convince Kenyans that this lady is actually someone who's a breath of fresh air, who will bring change into Kenya. But they conveniently forget why and how this very Martha Karua played a huge part in the mess that happened in 2007 and 2008, which led the country on the brink of a civil war. This lady played a huge part. Remember, she was at the KICC, was it KICC or Bomas, whatever the Nino, when where the results were being announced with Kivuitu. And she was ready to fight anybody, basically, to stand up for Kibaki, who obviously anyone knew that Kibaki lost. As much as I hate going tribal, but people in Kenya vote on tribal blocks. Okay? And in 2007, by 2007, after the referendum in 2005, when Kibaki lost, by 2007, everyone was tired of Kibaki. And he was voted out. Every province in Kenya voted against Kibaki. Kibaki only won in Central Province, where he comes from. And Martha Karua, being a tribalist that she is, now I know she's pretending, she's packaging herself like this iron lady who's about to take on the system, take on Ruto. Back then, she was not hiding how she felt. She fought tooth and nail for their tribal leader at the time, who was Mwai Kibaki. Okay? And she attended the night swearing in of Kibaki. Okay? So let's remind Martha Karua of this stuff. Let's not pretend. Let's not act like, this lady has always been on the right side of history. This lady is a nasty lady, a faker, con woman, corrupt like the rest of them. I shall begin. Speaking of corruption, let's read an article from a British company that highlights the bribe that this so-called iron lady took back in 2015, I guess. I will go ahead and I'm going to drop a link for anyone who wants to challenge anything I say to come here and defend this nasty woman. The link will be dropped. I'm dropping it right now. Come in the studio. Talk to me. Tell me about this, how great this lady is, if indeed she is that. She's not different from Raila Odinga and the rest of them. But anyway, let's get to it, okay? The first order of business, as you know, is like the video, share, comment, and if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Okay? Let's read an article. I want us to go through an article here which highlights what this lady is all about. Because I know some of you are like, okay, you're saying she's corrupt, whatever, show us the receipts. Here comes the receipts. Here comes the receipts. Relax, relax. We are tumepoa hapa, tumepoa. We are not in a hurry. Tumepoa. We're taking it easy, easy like Sunday morning. You hear me? All right, let's do it. So here's an article. You can basically just Google it. You can find an article. Everything is on our fingertips. I know some people are like, oh, Google. Yeah, you can Google anything, pretty much anything. You can Google anything you want. Sorry, I got the wrong one. Let me try the other one. It's a British tobacco company. Okay, are you ready? Okay, here it is. I got it. So here is, it is an article written by David Cornett on Friday, 18th December 2015. Okay, it was written at 10:29 GMT time. This is a British newspaper that published this. The headlines, as you can see, it says British American Tobacco bribed Kenyan politician Martha Karua to stop action against cigarette smuggling. I've always said that the top politicians in Kenya are nothing but colonial stooges. These people get paid by the colonialists to do this. And how do they get paid? You see the story. You see how the example there is through these corporations. Okay? Same as Raila Odinga, same as Ruto, same as Kenyatta. And you wonder why these people always have policies that are anti-people. Let's go. Exclusive whistleblower reveals payment to try to stop rival farm winning contract. I have time. I'll read it. I'm not in a hurry. You can watch this on repeat. Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow, if you look at this live and you are at work, you can just put on your earphones or you're bored at work, just turn on this, listen up, and watch this on repeat. The only thing I'll request you to do is to like the video and share it if you want. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel is Kenya Revolutionary on YouTube. You can just read it for your own self. Here it is. Let's get started. One of UK's biggest companies made secret political donations to a presidential candidate in Africa in a bid to block a rival farm winning a multi-million pound contract. British American Tobacco, BAT, paid £50,000 to Kenyan politician Martha Karua, a former justice minister. This is a former justice minister. I'm just digressing a little bit. And you wonder why, when she was a justice minister, none of these corrupt people that now she wants to act like she's naming never got taken to court. The Kenyattas were still looting Kenya dry during that time. She never brought that case of the land that the Kenyattas have stolen, the land that Mois have stolen. She was the justice minister. But today you'll hear her talk about all the wrong things this Ruto government is doing, which is fine. I have no problem of her highlighting, naming, pointing out the wrongs that the Ruto administration is committing. But the thing is, she has no moral authority to lecture anyone on matters corruption, because she was a justice minister and she did zilch, nothing, nada. So British American Tobacco, BAT, paid £50,000 British pounds to Kenyan politician Martha Karua, a former justice minister, to prevent a rival company supplying Kenya with technology to combat cigarette smuggling. In return for the donations, paid in cash via a middleman, BAT obtained key confidential Kenyan Revenue Authority (KRA) documents outlining the £100 million 5-year contract for new technology designed to stamp out tobacco smuggling. They then had the contract deliberately delayed while they secretly lobbied to get their own system chosen. The secret donations were falsely listed in BAT accounts as payments for management fees or as expenses incurred in anti-smuggling operations. The serious allegations are contained in a dossier of BAT bribery and corruption claims passed to Britain's Serious Fraud Office SFO by Paul Hopkins, a company whistleblower who worked in Africa for BAT for 13 years. Experts describe Mr. Hopkins as the most significant whistleblower from the tobacco industry since Jeffrey Wigand, the subject of the Oscar-nominated film The Insider, starring Russell Crowe. Mr. Hopkins, responsible for stopping the illicit tobacco trade in East and Central Africa when BAT made him redundant, facilitated payments on BAT's account to cripple anti-smoking laws in several East African countries, payments to officials to undermine the World Health Organization's efforts to reduce deaths from smoking, ran a corporate spying operation, and conducted black ops to put rival cigarette makers out of business. Okay, it goes on. The article goes on. It is understood that the key meeting in which Mr. Hopkins and BAT's senior regional legal officer, Naushad Ramoli, negotiated the deal with a key aide in Ms. Karua's election team was filmed. This whole thing was filmed. The Independent has seen emails between Mr. Hopkins and Ms. Mukindia's campaign email address in which the KRA contract is openly discussed. The aide, Mary Mukindia, is now a member of the governing board of the Kenyan Tax Authority. Ms. Mukindia legal representatives confirmed she had attended the meeting but claimed she did not know they were BAT employees. Ms. Mukindia was clear that in her then role that she could not have had useful access to government officials nor have been able to obtain any contract specifications. She said she was not aware of any donations BAT may have made. Mr. Ramoli, who had since left BAT and now works in the Gulf, was unavailable for comment but denied bribery allegations to the BBC. Lawyers for Ms. Karua confirmed she met Mr. Hopkins shortly after the donation was made. However, it is not clear she was aware of the circumstances in which the payment was made. She finished 6th in the poll behind President Uhuru Kenyatta in 2013. BAT was eager to secure the contract to replace the paper stamp which appears on the cigarette packets. The stamp shows the manufacturer has paid tax on the packet. The new scheme was aimed at making counterfeiting more difficult. Emails showed their strategy was to win the Kenya contract in order to influence similar contracts elsewhere. BAT could face a corruption investigation in the UK under the 2010 Bribery Act. The tobacco firm could also face legal action in the US. Tobacco industry expert Professor Anna Gilmore of the University of Bath said the revelations reinforce the fact that this company simply cannot be trusted. Okay? The industry system will not help Kenya address this cigarette smuggling. Instead, it will place BAT in control of Kenya's effort to address an illegal trade. This is akin to putting the fox in charge of the hen house, she said. Smuggling is big business and leads to significant tax losses for countries. The European Commission estimates revenue losses of 10 billion British pounds, okay, a year. A fierce global fight has erupted to provide the anti-counterfeit equipment. CISPA, a Swiss-based firm, is pitted against a consortium of top 4 tobacco companies, BAT, Imperial, Japan Tobacco, and Philip Morris, which has its own technology. A BAT spokesman said the company does not tolerate corruption in our business anywhere in the world, and its policy is to take all appropriate action on any allegation that are uncovered. I've got time. I've got time, ladies and gentlemen, brothers, sisters, friends, and comrades. This was in 2015. The article was written in 2015, but the action actually happened probably before 2013, something like that. She came in 6th or 5th, Martha Karua, in 2013. Okay? So here it is. I've been preaching here endlessly about corporatocracy, the taking over, corporations taking over sovereignty of nations. And this is one way in which they do it, especially the developing nations, even the developed nations too. But this is how they do it. They get PEP, as we saw in the other documentary that I showed. Persons, political exposed persons, okay, PEPs. So they find somebody like Martha Karua, who's the justice minister or whatever the case is, and they try to influence her to, win a contract by giving him some money. This is how crazy it is. She was offered 50,000 British pounds. That was enough to buy Martha Karua. Okay? To the detriment of the Kenyan public. So, Miss Iron Lady, Kenya's Iron Lady, should not be lecturing anyone, and I mean anyone, on matters corruption or graft. She is corrupt to the core. This is just one. I think there was a guy who she was defending, who was accused of grabbing land somewhere last week. Shameless lady. This is the one lady who wants to become the president of Kenya. I can confidently tell you that she'll never become the president. Okay? But oh well, she was washed, clean, and rinsed by none other than the conman Raila Odinga to run as his running mate in the 2022 elections. And all of a sudden, she's the crowd's favorite. Spare me the nonsense. Let's get on. She doesn't stop there. This lady is deeply tribalistic. I'll tell you that. I'm saying that by just by actions alone. All right. Let's get to her interview that she had today on Spice FM, where she was telling us, remember, her and Kioni are one of the organizers who are trying to get the Gamma people to have a meeting, the Limuru 3, as they call it. Okay? Limuru what? Limuru 3. Let's get to it. Martha Karua. Okay? Let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers, sisters, friends, and comrades, if you're watching this on repeat, please like and share this comment. And most importantly, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Okay? Let's get to Limuru 3 with Martha Karua on Spice FM. She was earlier today, which is Thursday, for those of you who are going to watch this video on Friday. All right, let's review and listen to what she has to say, because she's very interesting. Bismod, I see you. Bismod is telling us, unajua wakati mwingine unaweza kusoma tu sura ya mtu bila hata kuongea, na Martha Karua ni mmoja wapo. For those of you who don't speak Swahili, Bismod is simply saying that you can just look at Martha's face and tell she's one of them. Karibu sana base mode. Like the video base mode. Do not hesitate. Like the video na kama huja subscribe, subscribe mara moja. Nice seeing you today. Karibu, karibu. All right, let's play her. We shall go through her interview. It's a 45-minute interview. I'll try to kind of forward it because there's some things she says that are not relevant. But let's go. Let's go. Let's listen to it. Okay. Martha Karua Limuru 3. Asante sana. All right, Limuru 3, we get to it. Martha Karua. All right. I'm Martha Karura. Let's
Party
go.
leader of NARC Kenya. She is here in the studio. Good morning, Martha.
Morning. Go empty-handed. Yeah.
That's a good one, sitting. Right. After devastation, people are dead. People have been marooned in waters. People have been displaced. People have lost.
Okay, I'll skip to the good part.
Evacuate. Those people don't.
Hold on.
That was yesterday, today, and Friday. To express their displeasure, among other things.
Just to, I'm forwarding it because she was just explaining about an incident that happened in Kibera. There were a couple of people who were protesting against the demolition of the houses, and Martha Karua somehow was on her way there, and there were people who were arrested. So Martha Karua was kind of fighting for their rights to make sure that they are not arrested or whatever the case is. But I'll skip to the good part. I won't bore you with her good works.
Number they wouldn't give. We checked the OB. I got the OB extract. Siblings in a house. Not all issues will be of common interest.
All right.
Yeah,
I wanted to talk about the Limuru part.
Now let's talk about
there you go.
A meeting that you are involved in organizing. And this is called the Limuru 3 conference.
Yeah.
Now we've heard about the Limuru conferences. Let's start with the background. What's Limuru 1, Limuru 2, and now Limuru 3?
May I say that personally, I did not participate in those two. I'm now participating in Limuru 3. But all of them have something in common.
Yeah.
One, bringing the people of Mount Kenya together to forge unity of purpose. And each time was dictated by the times that were there, by what was happening at the time. At this moment, we are, again, rooting for strengthening unity of purpose to be able to look at the issues of common interest, because even among siblings in a house, not all issues will be of common interest. Yeah, so to tackle issues of common interest.
Now, before she goes on, when she's talking about this Limuru 2, remember, Kalonzo Musyoka was the first one to mention this, and Miguna had to highlight that comment and akamkosoa. Kalonzo said something in his tweet where he said that the Gema should come together. That's when Raila was busy doing that AU. It was freshly announced that Raila was going to AU. Now Kalonzo started his little campaign, and he said that the Gema should come together, have a meeting. Gema, for those of you who don't know what Gema is, I think Gema is the Agikuyu, Embu, the Merus, and the Kamba, the Kambas, okay? So those four major, it was started in Limuru 1, started all that. I'll come down to it. I'll come down to it. So you see, she's explaining that the main reason for this meeting, the Limuru 3, as she calls it, it is for the people of the Mount Kenyan region and its surroundings to have, speak about the issues that they're facing. It's a unity of purpose, okay? So let's just listen to her and listen to how she has to say about that. We'll break it down. There's nothing wrong with people of Mount Kenya meeting per se, but there's a reason why people always kind of, look at it like, hey, wait a minute, what's going on? There's a reason why. And that question will come up. Let's just go ahead and listen to this.
And to support one another and to strengthen our unity. And we believe that by strengthening our unity, we are contributing to a strong Kenya and the unity of Kenyans. And we believe any other community doing that. And almost every community, every block is doing that. We are not the first. We will not be the last. But whenever Mount Kenya says they are meeting, it raises temperatures. We need somebody to tell us why.
The first time they met.
Yes, and that's a good thing. She said it raises temperature. Now, it raises temperature because historically speaking, first of all, let's just face it. There have been two tribes mainly that has been ruling Kenya: the Kalenjins and the Kikuyus, okay, or the people from Mount Kenya. Let's also face it that the Kikuyus are, they're business people. They are really, they're all about making money. Most of them. I'm not saying all of them. Just that's the perception there. And from the time that Kenyatta became the president, Kenyatta won, okay? They've had 3 presidents, of course. And Kenyatta won started this whole, brought his people, put them on positions, okay? Because remember, even what's his name? That guy that spoke against warned Kenyatta that this whole imambo grabbing land that does not belong to them shall in the future bring problem with other communities. And that guy ended up being killed in Gongro. He was also a Kikuyu guy. I forgot his name. But anyway, so I'm saying that the Kikuyus generally, the people from Mount Kenya have dominated, or at least have they hold the highest position in government for a long time. I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but it kind of creates this perception that they're holding the plum jobs and the top jobs, and so whenever we have political issues, that is always highlighted, and it's used by other politicians to kind of cast them in bad lights. Okay. This mod is telling me, do the Kikuyu and Kamba understand each other when they talk? I'm Samburu, just out of curiosity. Okay. From the few Kambas that I've interacted with, they tell me that they understand most Kikuyu words. They can. It's almost like Spanish and Portuguese. The Portuguese can kind of tell when people are talking Spanish, they can kind of tell what they're talking about. They can understand most of the words, but they don't understand fully. Same thing with Spanish people. When they hear Portuguese, they kind of can tell, what they're saying. So it's kind of that thing. It's not like they fully understand it, but yeah. But Gema was that the beginning of Gema, Kenyatta won, rallied around the Akamba, the Kikuyu, of course, the Embu and the Merus, as the people who, to have this meeting. But anyway, so like I was saying, the perception, the general perception within Kenyans, among Kenyans, is that the Kikuyus have dominated in the top, governmental jobs and businesses and all that stuff. And it's true. I mean, that's just the truth, okay? It's nothing against them. And that's, so most Kenyans look at that first meeting, the first Limuru one, as the reason as to why these people from Mount Kenya came to dominate these positions. That's why other communities and Kenyans in general, they they get uneasy when they hear things like Limuru 1 or Limuru 2 or number 3, okay? But I have to maintain that there's nothing wrong with members of Mount Kenya, the tribes of Mount Kenya, or people along Mount Kenya saying, hey, we are planning on meeting to just discuss the issues that's facing our region. That in itself is not a bad thing. But again, given the general perception among the Kenyan people, that is always looked at with suspicion. Okay? All right, let's go ahead with Martha Karua.
What were the prevailing circumstances that led the people of Mount Kenya to meet in Limuru?
I cannot be a spokesperson for the two meetings because I didn't participate in them. But I know largely the agenda was unity of purpose. Okay? Yeah.
This time,
I
what's the
have
prevailing circumstance now that
The
makes
hardship
you
that
as a
every-
Mount Kenya leader to say, let's come together?
The hardships every Kenyan is going through. When I came into this studio, you were talking, you had something from KRA, which I believe you're doing on behalf of KRA, about the taxes. We would have said for landlords. But now from that conversation is a tax on the tenant. Because if the notice is going to be issued to the tenant, if the invoice is going to be issued to the tenant, you can see now the tax has passed on to the tenant, who already is oppressed because Kenyans are oppressed. There is punitive regime of taxation. Taxation should never be punitive. It should look at the circumstances, the prevailing circumstances. And I think economically, everybody, even the middle class, are feeling it. And if the middle class are feeling it, it means the vulnerable are feeling it and are almost paralyzed by it. So this is not a time to keep on adding.
Just quickly to she's sugarcoating everything. The whole thing, she's talking about this landlord issue when the landlord are being taxed and it goes down to the tenants because, that will force the landlords to raise the Bay rent. Basically, she's saying, most people in Nairobi or whatever the case is, Kiambu region, whatever, most landlords happen to be Kikuyus. Like I said, most Kikuyus, people from the mountain region of Kenya, are business people. They are business people. They are good in business. And most of them are landlords. So when this regime raises taxes on business owners and landlords, she's mentioning that it kind of affects the tenants and affects the landlords. And this is one of the issues that affecting people of Mount Kenya, which also affects people of Kenya in general. That's what she's basically saying without being, whatever. But all right, let's go ahead. I'll forward it kidogo.
Are we saying that it is leaders who are concerned about what is happening around the country corporately, or is it a hybrid of the two?
It's double.
Okay.
When you look at what is happening to you, it mirrors what is happening in the country. So it's good for everyone. And we need to look at the things we can do.
I agree with that. Generally, she's saying, most of the issues that are affecting the people of Mount Kenya is basically the same things that are affecting the majority of Kenyans, okay? So, but again, there's unique problems that face people, within the Mount Kenya area because, let's say like the growing of macadamia and all that stuff, the coffee farming and all that stuff, because those are the people that's, that's the region which is known for coffee. Of course, Kericho, people in Rift Valley, Kericho can have something to say about that. But in general, she's right that majority of the challenges they face in Mount Kenya are the same challenges that majority of Kenyans basically face. Okay? All right. Let's just forward because there's a place that I really want us to focus on.
And it's a good caucus. There's a caucus for Coast MPs or forging unity. So I don't know why there's so much excitement when the people of the mountain say they are meeting. And for that reason, the administration starts showing signs of developing fear and start branding us tribalists.
Again, I've explained why other parts of Kenya, Kenyans in general, they get jittery when they hear that there's a Limuru 3, the meeting of Mount Kenya region. People think of tribalism because given the past, the first Kenyatta 1, that Limuru 1 meeting was a tribalist. And, we have to define what tribalism is. If you're going to do something, or if you think of yourself as your tribe being better than the other tribe, or you give an advantage to the people of your own tribe instead of being fair to everyone, regardless of tribe, then it is tribalism. That's why I'm saying Limuru won, Kenyatta won, when he called for that Gema meeting. It was to have a plan. He concocted a plan for the Gema community, who were basically majority of his cabinet, to have an economic advantage, a plan to have an economic advantage over other communities. That's why from that Limuru 1 meeting, majority of Kenyans now, when they hear Limuru 3 or 2 or 5 or 7 or 8, they are thinking, here they come again. They're about to come up with a plan of how they are going to continue dominating other communities like they did in Limuru 1. And maybe that might not be the case. So I wish I was there to actually tell Martha Karua why some other community thinks like the same way, thinking that kind of way. But what's his face will try to explain it. City will try to explain it in a little different way, and Martha will come up with her own version. Let's listen in. I'll forward to that place because I think that's where it's really gets interesting. Okay, let's go ahead.
May I tell them that to begin with, we are several communities just coming under the umbrella of the mountain because of the community of interest. We just like the Kalenjin.
So who are the Mount Kenya people?
They are from the Mount Kenya people are the people of 8 counties, but we consider our diaspora in other places as also part of it. So it's Mount Kenya and its diaspora.
Okay.
And I am sure that when any other nation meets, it's also about them and their diaspora wherever they are. Diaspora meaning within Kenya mainly. Yeah. Because we are now using the word diaspora even for Kenya. Yeah.
What are those 8 counties? Kiambu?
I didn't say 8.
What did you say?
I didn't say 8. We are in more than 8 counties.
More than 8 counties.
And I'm not going to draw a map because we have said Mount Kenya and diaspora. So wherever you are in Kenya, you are part of, the gates are open for this meeting.
It's the communities around Mount Kenya.
And even if you are abroad, you are welcome.
Okay, Martha. Yeah. Is it the communities within Mount Kenya?
May I say it's the Meru, the Embu, the Tharaka.
Yeah.
You know that if you are going to count is Tharaka Nithi.
Yeah.
Again, Martha Karua is beating around the bush. That's just say it's the Gema community. She's trying to be all, it's the Tharaka Nithi. I don't know what. Just say it is the Gema. Gikuyu, Embu, Meru, Akamba. Come on. Just get on with it, Martha Karua. Stop beating around the bush.
Then you will come down to Kirinyaga, the counties of central Kenya, and then we have people all around many other counties.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nyandarua is included?
Nyandarua was part of central Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I just said in short.
Is Nakuru
all those
included?
Counties. Yeah. Let me say that I
some
have
of them
said
were in
Mount
Valley,
Kenya
like Laikipia.
and diaspora.
Okay.
That's what I said, and I'm not going to draw them up.
Yeah. Okay, because those who are pushing back are saying, all right, we have seen this conversation before. If we just look at Limuru 2 and what came out of Limuru 2, saying that one of the, after very many conversations, and there are many things that were said after Limuru 2, one that stood out in the news was that, we need to have a leader who forges our issues and takes them to the national front and the national stage, and this is going to be Uhuru Kenyatta.
That was a resolution of Limuru 2 because I saw the resolutions and I've seen them. This time round, there is no election. If you remember, Limuru 2 was held close to
the 2013 election.
Yes. You can't start naming candidates or, so.
What I find interesting to me, I think this is a plan between Martha Karua and Kalonzo Musyoka. I think they're looking at this as the way forward, because Raila will probably, more than likely, either way, whether Raila goes to AU and become the AUC chairperson, whatever the case is, or whether Raila fails to go to AU, one thing that is inevitable is that Martha Karua and Kalonzo Musyoka will not back Raila Odinga if Raila was to decide to run again in 2027. Let me say this one more time. In the event of Raila going to AU, or even if Raila fails to go to AU and runs as a presidential candidate in 2027, Martha Karua, being part of the Gema community, and Kalonzo being part of the Gema community. Remember, I told you that Kalonzo Musyoka is the one who first hinted about this Gema union of Gema heads. And even he went to Central Province when Raila was working on his AU thing. Okay? So that's why I'm saying, if Raila decides to run in 2027, if he misses that AU job, or even if he goes to AU job, Martha Karua and Kalonzo are charting their way forward, because they will not back Raila Odinga if Raila Odinga chooses to run for presidency in 2027. That's just a fact. So they are trying to consolidate their fan base. Okay? That is what this meeting is all about. So, of course, they'll talk about all these wonderful things, but the real issue there is who will rally around Martha and Kalonzo, because Raila is done. Whether he runs in 2027 or not, he's done. And I know his staunch supporters will not see it their way. They think maybe he becomes like the Manyora. Manyora, I've been telling you, is a pseudo-intellectual. But anyway. Raila Odinga will not get any support. Well, let me not say any, but I'm saying the majority of support of Kenyans in 2027. Okay? So this whole Limuru thing is to consolidate, galvanize the region, the voting bloc, to vote as one. Okay? Remember, this is being organized by the Azimio aligned folks. Ruto might be losing his central province popularity based on his economic policy. So these guys are going to decide how they are going to move forward. And the question is, are they going to move forward as Central Province, the Gema voting bloc, trying to get other communities to join them? Okay? Because I don't think they'll align themselves with the Kalenjins. Now, if they leave that axis, the Kalenjin and the Kikuyu axis, what will happen is Ruto will probably have a marriage of convenience with Raila Odinga. Okay? As you can see, if Raila akipata AU, or if he misses it, they are going to join hands. And that's where NADCO will be playing a huge part. It will be almost imperative for them, at least Raila Odinga and what's his face? Ruto. You see what I'm saying? Because our Gema, they want to chart their way forward. They're looking at Raila Odinga and they think, you know what? We've supported this guy for a long time. Of course, Uhuru is not on the... Because if you think about it, just think about it. Let's explore this real quick. Raila is out, okay? They're not going to... Who is eligible to run for president from the Central Province? Not Gachagua. Gachagua is still vice president. He's enjoying his perks as being the deputy president, okay? No one else. Uhuru, the constitution does not allow him to run for president, okay? So he's out of it, all right? So who's there? Who's their main guy? It's Martha Karua. That's the most. I mean, Kioni is a nobody. Let's just face it, okay? Name any prominent politician from Central Province who can bring people together. That's why you hear a lot of these Gema people in other platforms are really pushing for Martha Karua. They're saying, oh, Martha Karua, Martha. Go to other platforms, you'll see there's a theme that's going on right now among the Gema supporters. They're talking about NAC. They want to re-energize Martha, Martha. Because she's the only one who's been there for a while. Uhuru is out, constitutionally speaking. Gachagua is with the president, UDA. Don't expect him to cross over anytime soon. So Martha Karua is the main lady that's standing there. The closest thing to Gema is the Wakamba. Kalonzo is the head honcho. You saw, that's why I mentioned Kalonzo went to Central Province to do his campaign. Okay? So that is what they're trying to do. And guess who's calling for this Limuru 3? It's Kioni and Martha Karua. Okay? So she's trying to galvanize, bring together these Kikuyu leaders to back her, join her party. Because if I was a betting man, I would bet Martha and Kalonzo Musyoka will be on the same voting basket in 2027. Like I said, Raila has expired. Whether he goes to AU or whether he runs for 2027, Raila is not going to be the most popular candidate in 2027. So Raila's best bet, if he doesn't run in 2027 or if he runs in 2027, his best bet is the NADCO joining in with Ruto. Because Raila standing by himself in 2027, he's not going to win. Because Kalonzo alisema mwaka huu nimesha kusupport ya kutosha. Martha Karua will also say nilisha kusupport ya kutosha. And you said ati utarudisha mkono. And you can hear the Ukambani people already telling Kalonzo, imetosha. This time, wapende wasipende, tunakupatia mkono. You have to run. So, Martha and Kalonzo will not back Raila Odinga. They will not. So, if Raila Odinga doesn't get that AU, Raila Odinga will probably most likely, because now the Kalenjins will not have the backing of the Kikuyu because of whatever is happening right now. So guess what Ruto will do? He will sort the support of the Luos. So he will join in. He will try to find where is Baba. Baba, nilikusaidia kwenda AU. Tulifanya ile handshake. Here's another 100 million. Join me in this handshake. So the Kalenjin will come together with Luos. Then the Gema shall chart their own way by trying to get these other tribes to join their new formed movement, whether it's under the NAC banner or the Wiper banner. But it will not be Azimio. Azimio will probably break up at some point. Azimio will break up after it is clear whether or not Raila is going to AU. That is when Azimio will break up. Right now, anajifanya hii mambo mingi kwa sababu they still don't know. Watch it. Let's go quickly with Martha.
So, Ali, in the sense, you've got to give the people of the mountain time for everybody's dream to grow. Mm. If you went and named in your local area a certain person as the next MCA, that means you have excluded any of those
leader of NAC Kenya and one of the key organizers of the
very many leaders from many political parties.
Right. Mm. So leaders from Mount Kenya and the diaspora and interested people will be meeting on the 17th of May for this particular Limuru 3 conference. Siti, I know you have very many questions about this. Ask question number one.
Our good friend asked the question, why is it that when you hear the region getting together to meet? Why is it that there's an apparent increase in temperatures and certain interests? Well, I want to try and answer that question. It's with good reason. If any group of people organize themselves and the result of the organization is not felt and it doesn't amount to much, nobody takes notice. It's of no consequence. But if it has an effect that can be seen, people then take notice. You see, it's not just that region. The dominant group in that region are the Kikuyu, okay? And they have produced 3 presidents, okay? Now, what one forgets is among themselves, there are politics. There are those who said that the presidency would not pass the River Chania. It did, okay? And now there are those who feel that perhaps in that region it's their turn that they are the president. I mean, come on, you've had 2 presidents from Kiambu, 1 from Nyeri. Why is Muranga being left out? People of Kirinyaga will say, what do you mean you? So you think we can't produce a president? And given what we did for the freedom of this country, what I'm saying is, these conferences, and Mheshimiwa rightly puts it, have been had by very many other communities. The only thing is, one does not see the effect of those gatherings. One hears a lot of words, a lot of movement, but at the end of it, it peters out and it goes poof. But then when you align the meetings to Limuru, unfortunately it takes us back 1966, a lot happened then, and that a lot that happened then also helped change the course of this country in very, very many ways.
What happened in 1966, Limuru 1?
Unajua, if I were to summarize it, it was a succession issue. If I were to summarize it. But then the then deputy, it was Vice President, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, and Tom Mboya did not seem to see eye to eye on many issues. So remember, there's only one party. So that particular party was divided. There was Jaramogi and his people, and there was Tom Mboya and his people, and Tom Mboya took the lead in making certain pronouncements in Parliament. Jaramogi had a problem with it. It was decided people should meet to determine these things. At that point in time, there was one president, he was also president of the party. There was one vice president, he was also vice president of the party. One of the wonderful things about that conference, we had 8 provinces, if you, call it then. The party declared, that meeting declared 8 vice presidents of the party. So immediately, the power of Jaramogi was automatically diluted with just that one move. Other things followed. But people trace it back to that particular conference. Now, so when anybody who understands the history of it, as has been written by other people, you realize that that particular conference brought to the fore something that probably had been boiling within the party, but now it came up. So by the time people were parting ways in Parliament, and as it is reported, Tom Mboya declaring that, those who did not have the same view as others should declare, and people crossing the floors, and Kenya People's Union forming, and then a whole new chapter of Kenya's history began being rewritten. Now, that people point to that Limuru conference.
I think there's a mixing of issues here,
Yes.
a serious mixing of issues. The 1965 conference he's talking about was a conference of the only and ruling party at that time. And it was a conference to realign internal politics of that party, which affected the country. There's no ruling party that is...
I'll just mention this. She said in Limuru 1, 1965 or 1966, whatever the case is, it was a matter of one party that was realigning their interest or whatever the case is. And what I can say Limuru 3 is actually a realignment of this party coalition called Azimio. That's what it's really is about. Like I say, this is about the Gamma. Remember, I'll show you that tweet. I'll find it. Kalonzo is the one who first started mentioning this Gamma should come together. Then you had Kioni and Martha Karua. Now they're talking about
organizing Limuru 3. Limuru 1 and 2 were not organized by the party in power. So other than the name Limuru that is common, the agendas of that conference are totally different and by different people. The Limuru 3 is being organized by a coming together of political leaders, not even a party. It's political leaders from different political parties. So I'm saying there's a lot of mixing of the issues, whereas the resolutions can guide, and I pray that they have a profound effect on how we run our affairs and therefore contribute to the cause of politics.
Of course, to her point, she's saying that the issues of the Limuru 1 was different from the issues of Limuru 3, because number 1, it was about a party trying to restructure itself. But in general, what she's kind of saying the same thing what CT is saying without using different words. What I'm trying to say, and I want to elucidate on this. Yes, she says that it was realignment or restructuring of the one-party system that was there in 1966 or 1965, whenever that Limuru 1 happened, under Jomo Kenyatta. This one here, she says, is different because it's leaders from different parties, political parties or party coalitions that are coming together with different issues to discuss whatever they're going to discuss, to come up with different resolutions. But the reason why I say it's kind of the same thing, it's because the main purpose of them meeting and discussing these issues, yes, it's being dressed that way. But at the end of the day, it will be about restructuring, realigning themselves as the Mount Kenya voting bloc, the Gema voting bloc, realigning themselves to a certain political interest. Let me take Limuru 2, for example. You had her mention that in Limuru 2, the leaders of Mount Kenya, the Gema community, met and they all agreed to back Uhuru Kenyatta, the son of Jomo, as the Mudhamaki, the spokesperson for the leader of the Mount Kenya, right? Which is fine. In Limuru 1, Jomo Kenyatta, without even, it was understood that he was the leader of the Gema. He called the meeting. He was the one who wanted it. He was the prime minister because KANU had the most majority of the MPs, or whatever the case is, because it was a purely parliamentary system. But the whole thing was they wanted to speak in one voice. They had their own resolution and how the way to move forward as the Kikuyu, Gema, not just Kikuyu, but Embu, Akamba, Meru, Mount Kenya voting bloc. That was the basic, fundamental reason, the underlying reason why they met, even though they were discussing different issues. Same thing, Limuru 2, they had different issues, challenges, but the issue, the fundamental underlying issue was this: we are going to choose one spokesman, one leader, and this is the guy who we are going to choose to lead us, to who we are going to vote for in 2013. So it was the same thing. Now, Limuru 3, yes, the participants, the people who are going to be part of it, are coming from different political parties, but of course, they are members of the Gema Mount Kenya region, and they're going to do what? Have a resolution, restructure, agree on how they are going to move on, who they are going to throw their weight behind, okay? When it comes to 2027 or leading up to 2027. That is the main purpose. Of course, she can't say that. So she's trying to tell the public that it's all about discussing our issues and all that nonsense. But really, the reason why they had it on Limuru 1, Limuru 2, and now Limuru 3 is basically the same. We come together, talk about our issues, and politically, as a unit, this central province, Gema, we are going to move and support this person. That's what she's essentially saying, without, with all the fluff about what we are facing and all this stuff. But basically, that's what she's saying. Let's move forward. I'll wrap up in a minute.
It's the only similarity.
So why Limuru?
Limuru is a venue. And if you ask why Limuru, not Bomas, you remember when Jubilee Party was having its NDC, they booked Bomas and paid. But they admitted.
I'll stop her there. She's talking about, she was Eric asked him a very good question. Why Limuru of all the places? And now she's trying to tell us, KICC, we could have been charged at Wapi. They could have been charged. They could have nini. No. They chose Limuru because Limuru is historically significant for that very purpose that I just explained. Historically significant historically for the Gema community politically to chart their way forward. It was Limuru. That's why they did not make it KICC. They did not make it somewhere else. Martha is trying to play clever. Okay, Sungura Mjanja. It is Limuru. That's why they're calling it Limuru 3. The reason is the same. The players must be different. But the Ninio is the same, okay? So she's playing around with this and KICC, we could have been no. The historical significance of Limuru is huge, okay?
Administration, because Bomas is owned by the people of Kenya, pushed the management to rescind, even after it is paid. So you got to be very careful about venues. You've got to go to venues that are completely outside the control. We would have loved it to be at Wanguru Stadium.
Yeah.
But if you go to Wanguru Stadium, through the county government, you might be denied the venue. The same with Kirigiti, Kinoru. We have many other places. But we've gone back to the dark era where legitimate meetings are being broken up. Just like that legitimate demonstration.
This is just fluff. Like I said, she's just giving all these reasons. If we go to KICC, the people in KICC will have rescinded our license to be there or whatever. No. It's called Limuru. It's going to happen in Limuru because historically that's where, political leaders from that region met. Martha, stop with the fluff and the nonsense.
In Mathare, why would you use tear gas on people who have already been hit by the floods? And all they are saying is that we are not well looked after. We would like you to step up the response. These are the things that are narrowing the venues that people could take. Yeah.
Every time something like this, and it doesn't really matter on what level or what platform that you use, the hope is often, and I guess it's the assumption that even as you, from the planning point of view, that you can see the end,
anyway,
that you can see the
from there on, what they were talking about was not that serious. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers, sisters, friends, and comments, I just wanted to highlight that what this is all about. Martha Karua, I just want to emphasize this, and I want you to do this homework by yourself, mwenyewe. Like I say, meeting as Mount Kenya region leaders, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. They can do that. They want to meet for political reasons, religious reasons. There's nothing wrong with that. But as I explained, there's a reason why the rest of the country usually kind of, they are high alert. Why, if this happens. Now, again, reasons for them meeting is for them to galvanize, get together and look for their way forward as Gema community. As I mentioned, Kalonzo was the first one who tweeted this, actually said this about the importance of Gema coming together. Then a month after that, here is Kioni and Martha Karua talking about the Limuru 3. And again, she's giving all the hints, telling us KICC sijui nini story mingi. But we all know Limuru 1, Limuru 2, Limuru 3. It was all about consolidating political power. The voting bloc, the central province, the Embu, the Kikuyu, the Merus, the Akamba, the Gema community coming together for political reason and seeing who they can rally behind as they move forward as the people of the mountain voting bloc. Okay, so that's the main reason. All this other fluff that is we are going to discuss how we are going to deal with it. It's a story too. That's what you tell the public for people who can't see through what they're doing. It's a strategy because, like I say, come 2027, as I wrap up, come 2027, it's either Raila will be AU and will not be vying, and if Raila doesn't succeed going to AU, he will be running, but he will join a coalition. Remember, I even said it here. Remember, Wandai said it. Wandai is the closest Raila's lieutenant. Raila, Mbadi, and all these people. They said that ODM, not Azimio, ODM will join another political coalition. Now, how many political coalitions do we have? 2 main ones, Kenya Kwanza and Azimio. And after Wandai said that, few weeks after that, remember when they met with Jimmy Wanjigi, few days after that, Ruto and Raila wakakutana na Museveni huko. And after Ruto and Museveni met, Raila came and gave a press conference with the Nigerian Obasanjo about AU, taking the AU job. And after Raila mentioned about the AU job, guess what happened? Kalonzo started going to Central Province, meeting with Uhuru and other people. And that's when Kalonzo said about the importance of the Gema communities coming together. Few weeks after that, here is Martha Karua and Kioni talking about Limuru 3. Why didn't they have this in Nakuru, this meeting in Nakuru or somewhere else or whatever else? Because Limuru has a political significance. And it was always about consolidating power. The Gema community political power meeting and deciding the way forward, who will they rally behind. Like I mentioned, Jomo Kenyatta was their leader in the Limuru 1. They met so they can actually waangalie vile politically they'll maintain power. In 2013, they met and they decided that they'll vote their Mudamaki, their king, the person, their spokesman will be Uhuru Kenyatta okay? And now they're meeting because most likely Raila will be going to AU, or if he doesn't go to AU, it's more than likely he will join forces with who? President Ruto in the 2027 election. There'll be that coalition. Just like Wandai told us. Okay? So pay attention to the chronological order of events and pay attention to what these guys always talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers, sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, I thank you so much. Beast Mode, thank you so much for joining me. And for all those who have been watching, if you haven't watched the whole thing, you can watch it on repeat. One thing I'll just ask of you is subscribe, share, comment. Okay? Like this video so you can get more of this. And always feel free to join the studio if you want to have something to say, discuss, and all that. I will leave you with that. It's been an hour, 9 minutes, and I will leave it at that. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace and blessings.